Hey guys, what is up? My name is PandaMaster, and welcome to my episode 63 review. I really need to make sure I know which episode we're on before I start the video, but yeah, welcome to my episode 63 spoiler-free review of Attack on Titan, where I'm disappointed at this point. I flat out am. Overall, let's say flat out before I get into things, 6 out of 10 is this episode. It was okay. I don't think it was a bad episode, but it was kind of predictable, and they made some twists to the point where I believe next episode we're finally gonna see all of this setup come to a head, but at the rate it's going, I don't want to place any bets on it. I feel like we'll get another setup episode, especially because the preview even made it seem like that. Until I see concrete evidence that there's going to be some action, I don't. And now it makes me I completely understand why episode 1 was so action forward without the inclusion of Eren, Mikasa, and Armin, because that's all the action we've gotten this entire season, and we're 4 episodes in, which, again, for anime, in general, that's not an unheard of thing, but when you say that this is the last season and there are supposedly only 16 episodes, which again, like I said before, I kind of doubt. But even to say that this is the last season and you spend 4 episodes setting up something, it's just... And again, I don't think this is bad in any way. But this was definitely my least favorite episode thus far, because it's even more it just... I don't know if they're trying to slow, because I don't know if it has to do with the pandemic or that sort of thing, them just trying to stall to get the manga finished, because the manga still is not finished yet, they're almost done, but to say this is the final season when the manga hasn't even wrapped up yet, I feel like we would just have gotten such a better quality season, or arc at least, if they had just said this was season 4 and not specified this was the final season. Because I feel like there's just they're trying to stretch right now so that they can get the manga finished, and it's I mean, I guess that, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's too much content. I guess it means that there's not enough, in which case just delay the season or something. I don't they went too fast. I mean, again, it's not uncommon. We have filler arcs, in anime. One Piece does it all the time. Dragon Ball's done it as well. I mean, the more popular anime, the more quote-unquote mainstream, they do filler arcs while they basically allow the manga time to, finish up or make progress. And so while it's not exactly unheard of, just the way in which they're doing it here, I think within the constraints of the story and the lore, it does make sense. I'm just not enjoying it. Again, and I think it just has to deal with the fact that this is the final season. Had this been, season 3 or, again, season 4, if it wasn't labeled as the final season, I feel like I would have had a much different opinion towards it. But now it's just they are creeping so freaking slow towards the honestly start of the season. This feels like a prologue to the season, and that's why it's I hope to God it's not 16 episodes, because if they spend half the season just setting up, that's a crap season. I have not felt... I know a lot of people dislike season 2. Now, I literally binged all 3 seasons in, a short time, so I didn't have, the same viewership, I guess, disproportion that most had, with season 1 airing then like 3 years or something like that where it was off, and then coming back for season 2, and then now it's been fairly consistent since. But I liked season 2 a lot. Like, I haven't had any real parts of Attack on Titan that have really felt not at superior quality, and I don't think that this season is any different than that. It's just, personally, I think that the arc we're in is my least favorite of them. Like, I don't even feel comfortable saying the worst, because we've gotten so much lore and really cool. Like, I really love what they're doing with Reiner this season and this arc, and the preview for episode 64 has me even more excited, because I think we're going to see some really cool stuff from him in the next episode. But yeah, I mean, I think that this, again, as I've said for previous episodes, I think that they're doing the absolute best they can with what they have. It just doesn't fit with the show. Like, I feel if this would have been a brand new show, like, say this was not, you didn't slap the Attack on Titan brand on this, you were to just release a new show, right? Because that's kind of how it feels. It kind of feels like it's a new show, which, again, I wouldn't even necessarily say is a bad thing. If it wasn't, this is supposed to be the climax. This is supposed to be the end game. And it feels like we're starting into something new. And so it feels so rushed and slow at the same time, because we're getting exposed to this brand new world. Like, this seems like the midpoint of, Attack on Titan's story. Yet this is being advertised as the climax, the end, when it's just not. It's not performing like that, and that's why I take issue with it, and it makes me really upset, because I want to enjoy this, I really do. It's just becoming more and more difficult with every episode that they prolong and drag out. It just continues to make me more and more so disappointed in the season as a whole. And again, they have delivered some great performances, and I love the character development that's been going on, specifically with Reiner, and just, I love learning more about the world. It's just, they need to be more interspersed, I don't see why we could not have learned this whilst also, exploring Mikasa, Armin, Eren, the Survey Corps', whereabouts over the last 4 years. And so, I'm sure we will eventually get to them. At this point, I don't even know if that's 100% certainty. But, it's one of those things where I feel like it could have been done. And, again, like, this isn't 100% a dig to the show, because it's based off a manga. So this is more so also a critique of the manga, where it's like, I don't know if it had to do, and like, I don't know how much of this is taken directly from the manga, as I have not read up to that point in the manga myself, so how much of this is actual filler from the production company versus actual chapters taken from the manga. But it just seems like it seems like pretty drastic filler, and the first 3 episodes I think are fine. I think, I said all of them were great, and I stand by that. I just think this episode's taking it too far. I personally think every single thing that happened in this episode could have been put into other episodes in some way, shape, or form. I think this episode was very unnecessary. I think there were some really cool things that happened, but again, I don't think that all of them needed to, like, I don't think we needed an entire episode dedicated to its contents. And, I'll keep it, like I said, I'm keeping it in spoiler-free terms, and so I'm not going to get into specifically what those are, but we are not getting a new episode next week. I assume it's because of the holidays. So instead, what I'm going to do next week, I'm actually going to do a little bit of a solo spoiler cast, basically, where I'm just going to go, 100%. I'm not sure exactly how long it's going to be. It's really just going to depend on how much I have to say. But basically just talk about the whole season so far. Spoilers ahead, because we got some big stuff this episode. Like I said, again, I don't want to say that nothing happened in this episode. I would say nothing happened in this episode, save for one or two things that they knew they had to include. Otherwise, everybody would have hated this episode, And so some big stuff happened, and I'd love to talk about that, as well as some really cool revelations we've learned over the season as a whole, and kind of, again, predict what's coming, what's going on, what we're supposed to see, look forward to the rest of season 4. Just have that as a talking point. Again, full spoilers for next week, so be sure you are all caught up before that point. So, next Monday, I will have that video up at some point, and it'll hopefully be enjoyable for you guys. But, yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this video. But, again, I would rate this episode at a 6 out of 10. It's still good. I think the best way to describe this season thus far is okay, I take that back. This episode specifically still isn't good. I don't like this episode. It's okay, but I just meant the season as a whole is still good. But I think this would have been such an amazing show had it been, its own, without the Attack on Titan branding. I just don't think this is good for Attack on Titan. I don't think this is great or amazing for Attack on Titan. Though, being its own thing, I think it's amazing. It's just, that's not what we've come to expect, and that's where I take issue with it. But, yeah, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Again, I'm curious to hear about, whether or not, does this stick with the manga? I don't know. That's something I actually kind of want to do some research on, and I think I will before next week's Spoilercast. But, I am curious to know all of you guys' thoughts on what you thought about this episode, season as a whole. Any sort of anime stuff you want to talk about, let me know down in the comments below. Like if you like this video, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys next time for whatever doesn't do it. All right, see ya.